And to you, good day.
I just want to take a brief moment to say thank you so much for all the information you and Darryl bring through. My life has become absolutely magical um,
All
as
right.
a result of following the formula.
Yes. Well, thank you for choosing to do that and creating the magic in your life.
And on the topic of magic, my first
Yes.
question relates to a series of experiences that my husband and I have been having.
Yes.
We've been synchronistically guided to the particular permission slip of doing some shamanic ceremonies.
Yes.
During one of these ceremonies, I started to notice something flying out of the corner of my eye, just a gray flying blur. And at first, I was only seeing it out of the corner of my eye. And then during later ceremonies, it started flying in front of us and it started engaging our animals. And then we realized, oh, our animals can see this thing too.
Probably before you did.
Yes, I think so. I think so for sure. And it just looks like a flying blur. It's something that moves really, really fast.
Yes.
And throughout the ceremonies that we've done, we've had more and more contact with this being to the point where one time my husband had fallen asleep and I saw it again out of the corner of my eye. I was able to follow it. And then suddenly it grazed both of my hands as it flew by. And it was so startling and it was so warm to the touch. The temperature was very, very warm.
It's because it's on a higher frequency, and therefore it activated more molecular action in your hands.
Right. And when that happened, I almost couldn't believe that it touched me. And so as if it could read my mind, it repeated the whole sequence again, grazed my hands again,
Yes.
and again it was super warm.
It's attempting to instill within you the vibratory level that would allow you to synchronize with it so you can see it more clearly.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And so occasionally I've had some interesting telepathic impressions from this being.
Yes.
One time it said something like, I play with the animals all the time. Feel free to join us if you can be in the moment. And this message came with a feeling of mischievous
Yes,
giggle.
you're dealing with an elemental. This is part of the idea of the third phase that we mentioned, having to do with the idea of the cryptic and shamanic journey. You are interacting with an elemental consciousness that is attempting to help you understand what frequency you need to rise to in order to match its frequency in order to be able to perceive it more clearly.
That makes sense. And when you say elemental, is there anything more you can give me about that? Like, is it a fairy? Does it have a name?
It can express itself in a number of different ways. For now, we have to leave it at the process and the experience you are having before we do anything to crystallize or concretize this idea into something a little bit less frequency than what it's already giving you. In other words, we don't want to create a definition or a symbol for you that would actually stop you from exploring the higher frequency.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'm getting this feeling that this being wants me to communicate to other people that they are around us, that they are around
Yes.
most, that they're
Yes.
just waiting to make contact, that they want
Well, they're not waiting, but the idea is that they understand that it can be done and that this is the time when your awareness that it can be done can be enhanced, which is why, in a sense, we're now at the timing where more of the cryptic meditational exercises can be given. Again, it's about perfect timing. So what you're experiencing is your awareness of the timing of why at this particular moment it is the perfect timing to allow people to enhance their ability by going further into the cryptic meditations.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes
I know.
sense. And the animals are always seeing them, right?
Pretty much. Not always, 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 but pretty much, yes.
So when I'm hanging out with my cat and my cat suddenly looks above my head and follows something with their eyes, is that the same thing?
Well, they're seeing something that is on a higher frequency plane. It isn't necessarily all the time what you're dealing with in this conversation, but they may be seeing something else that is invisible to your senses. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm really interested in this elemental thing, so I think I'm gonna go explore that.
All right, then do so and have fun.
Thank you very much. Ha'atu.
Ha'atu and aveo.
Aveo.
Hi Bashar, I'm Joe from Osaka, Japan. I'd like to ask you about veganism. So I became a vegan about 4 months ago, and it's been serving me pretty well. There are multiple reasons why I became a vegan, but ultimately it all comes down to this notion that you've talked about before, that people are expression of nature, not just isolated individuals within it. I think that living in harmony with other animals is crucial for us to go to the next level, if you will. So here are my questions. First one, what's your thought on veganism? Second one, is it have to do with people's consciousness? I'm currently trying to spread the idea of veganism throughout Japan, which became one of my passions. Thank you, Bashar. Bye.
Living in harmony with anything is essential for you to continue to raise your frequency. Veganism can be a result of living on a certain frequency level where you simply lose the urge to eat certain things that have to do with animal product. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way for everyone right away. In other words, don't force yourself. Let it be your natural biological urges to come and go. If you are centered within yourself, you will know what you're attracted to consume. Sometimes a body on your planet at this time may need certain amounts of meat protein, although most of you don't need as much as you think. But the idea, of course, is how it's done, how the relationship is formed. In many indigenous societies that hunt, remember that they're doing it in a way, generally speaking, or at least they used to, that is more in harmony with nature in the sense of culling the animals that are not necessarily the strongest. So the idea is that the animal itself, in its state of being, is choosing to be of service as the human is choosing to be of service to the animals in that particular kind of a relationship of consuming the animals that may be lessening the strength of the entire group of animals to allow the entire group of humans to also become stronger. But again, as you raise your frequency, you may simply naturally find that you're no longer gravitating or have the urge to eat what might be referred to as denser matter, and you might go for the lighter. But still remember that vegetables also have a consciousness. So again, as you evolve, you may eventually come to the point where you simply absorb energy directly, as we do in our civilization, because we don't eat anymore at all. But the idea is, again, that doesn't mean that we're more spiritual or that we're better than you are. We simply exist on a different vibrational level that doesn't require those kinds of activities. And the animal life on our planet is symbiotic. They're not predatory. So no animal is ever killed in an exchange of energy. But again, don't in any way, shape, or form negatively judge yourselves for the state that you're at, because that'll only hold you back. Simply allow there to be a natural biological rhythm of what needs to go on, and just do your best to make sure that any relationship you have with an animal is the most natural connection, organic expression that it can be, no matter what that relationship may be. So that's how you evolve, is by letting what is be done in a more natural way and simply letting it change in its own natural timing.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm so excited to be able to speak with you again.
We are excited as well.
So my first question has two parts to it.
Yes.
Have you observed other civilizations on other planets going through their awakening? And part of that process includes those beings realizing and waking up to the fact that their leaders don't have their best interest in mind? And lastly, how does the Interstellar Alliance assist with those beings who are wanting to wake up and break free?
All right. First and foremost, yes, we are interacting with other civilizations who are going through their own awakenings. There are a few, relatively few, that are in a position of their awakening where they are experiencing the idea of oppression or control in the way that you're experiencing it on Earth. We find that that's relatively uncommon, at least in our experience with other civilizations. So the idea of their awakening doesn't necessarily involve some of the same techniques or approaches that are utilized with regard to our relationship to your world and the few other ones we have seen that might be somewhat similar to what you're going through in the way you're going through it in terms of your awakening. The Interstellar Alliance, just like some of the enhancing bodies in our own planetary civilization, simply work to enhance, expand, magnify, and amplify the idea of stability, of peace, and in magnifying and amplifying this synchronistically, it radiates a vibration out through the galaxy that allows people another option to tap into. And we remind them that they can. We remind them that that vibration is there for them. This is one of the things we are doing by sharing information with all of you, so that if you tap into it and harmonize with that vibration, that organizational synchronistic vibration that allows our society to operate on pure synchronism all the time, then you will start experiencing yourself, navigating yourself through different parallel versions of Earth that become more and more and more and more reflective of that particular vibrational experience. The idea of quote unquote breaking free is not exactly the definition to use, because it implies that you are somehow not capable of shifting in the way that you prefer to, that somebody can actually control you, that you are assuming you're in the same reality just because you can see them. So we would suggest you don't operate from that particular point of view, because that's, in a sense, what gives oppressors their power, or seems to, or at least creates the illusion that they have more power than they actually do, is to simply convince you that they can control you, that they can determine what reality you experience when they can't. So the idea is to start from a definition that says, just because I can see you, just because you are doing things that I don't prefer, doesn't mean I'm in the same reality. It's like there's a glass wall between you.
Okay.
Does that help?
It helps tremendously. Thank you. So just to add some more clarity on those planets and those civilizations, are there examples where other ET beings who are negative are, kind of try to come in and take advantage and oppress those beings who either A, have no clue that that's happening, or B, they don't know what to do? So I guess my question is, does the Interstellar Alliance assist in that way on that level?
To some degree, but what you're describing is exceedingly rare.
Exceedingly, okay.
Rare. In other words, it is rare that when beings have the capability of traveling to other planets with other civilizations, they will usually already have surpassed any need to oppress others in another star system, because they will have understood that the only way they can actually get there is to have a completely different understanding of their relationship to existence. And there would be no need to oppress anything, because there is more than enough for everyone. So the idea of control in an oppressive sense usually vanishes in most civilizations with the understanding of actually how to travel to the stars, because you start really experiencing the abundance of existence. And when you can acquire anything you need without hurting anyone else or yourself in order to acquire it, why would you spend the effort to try and control something when that would be a waste of time?
Right. Okay. You've also spoken about in previous transmission this time that we're going through right now, we are transitioning into our golden era that we're supposed to be experiencing in this decade. And you had mentioned that our old systems would be crumbling. However,
They are crumbling.
They are. It's lovely. And so the new systems are waiting in the wings, ready to come on up and just replace the old ones that are.
No. That's a very old-fashioned way of looking at it. They're not waiting in the wings. The idea of new systems must be created actively by people in the here and now. They're not waiting in the wings. Yes, there are some things that have been done that can be revived and applied, so to speak, but it's not the idea that they're just waiting in the wings. It requires the activity of people moving in those directions and taking those actions for those new systems to be applied and implemented.
Correct. So would examples of those new systems here on Earth be like Starlink, cryptocurrency, and Elon Musk? Would those be examples of?
Some aspects of those things, yes. Other aspects of them, not necessarily. Or some of them may be temporary as links and bridges to get you to something else.
Okay. But we're definitely transitioning and moving into that golden era.
Well, some of you are and some of you aren't.
Okay.
Because again, everyone has the free will to choose, and some people will choose some things that won't necessarily take them in that direction, because you cannot experience what you're not the vibration of.
Okay.
So, and again, remember, you don't change the world you're on. You're shifting yourself to other versions of Earth that are already reflective, that already exist, that are more reflective of the change you've made within yourself. So it doesn't really matter whether everyone on your planet chooses the same thing. You will experience as if some of them have by shifting to another world, another version of Earth, where there are already versions of them that are more in harmony with that version of Earth. It's not that the people you experienced before have necessarily changed. It's that there are other versions of them that are more like the world you're inhabiting.
Thank you, Bashar. I really appreciate this interaction and my unconditional love to you.
As do we.
Thank you.
To you. Good day.
Good day.
Hello, Bashar. My name is Chad, and I'm from Toronto, Canada. So my question for today is, what advice would you have for someone who is struggling with their gender identity? For example, why would a soul choose to incarnate as a male only to want to transition into a female later in life? Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Because on your planet, there's a great deal of denial of all the energies within a soul, within a spirit. And the idea of many people who are going through those kinds of transitions and identity shifts are to act as a reflection and a reminder to all beings that you contain nothing and everything, and that it is important for you to be who